The Great Hall of the Lycan Empire was the largest room Tejo had ever seen. Stone pillars rose up like giant trees, and torches burned with blue fire along the walls. The ceiling was so high that it disappeared into darkness. Hundreds of people stood in the hall, but nobody made a sound. They were all waiting. Tejo stood at the back of the crowd. He was a human soldier from Earth, a simple corporal in the 7th Expeditionary Force. His unit had been stationed on the Lycan homeworld for 6 months, as part of a diplomatic mission. He wore his clean uniform and stood straight, but he felt very small in this place. The Lycans were not like humans. They were taller, stronger, and covered in short fur. Their eyes glowed in the dark, and their teeth were sharp like wolves. They had ruled this part of the galaxy for thousands of years. To them, humans were new. Humans were weak. Humans were nothing. At the front of the hall, there was a throne made of black stone. On that throne sat Queen Sira, the Wolf Queen. She was the most powerful Lycan alive. Her fur was silver white, and her eyes burned like golden fire. When she moved, everyone watched. When she spoke, everyone listened. Next to the throne stood a young female Lycan. This was Princess Yuna, the Queen's only daughter. She was beautiful in the way that dangerous things are beautiful. Her fur was dark gray, and her eyes were the same gold as her mother's. She stood with her hands folded, her face showing no emotion. Today was an important day. Princess Yuna had reached the age of choosing. In Lycan tradition, this meant she needed a mate. But the Wolf Queen would not give her daughter to just anyone. The male who wanted Yuna had to be strong. He had to be worthy. Queen Sira stood up from her throne. The hall became even more quiet. Even the blue flames seemed to stop moving. "My daughter has come of age," the Queen said. Her voice was deep and powerful. It filled every corner of the Great Hall. "The blood of our ancestors runs in her veins. The future of our empire rests in her children. I will not let weak blood touch her." She looked across the crowd. Lycan nobles stood in their fine clothes. Lycan warriors stood in their armor. Generals and lords and princes from many worlds had come for this day. They had heard of Princess Yuna's beauty. They had heard of the power she would inherit. But now, under the Queen's burning gaze, they all looked at the floor. "Who will give my daughter strong children?" Queen Sira bellowed. Her voice echoed off the stone walls. "Who among you is worthy? Step forward." Nobody moved. Tejo watched from the back. He saw the great Lycan warriors, males who could break a human in half with their bare hands. They did not move. They did not speak. They were afraid. He had heard stories about the Queen's tests. Any male who wanted Princess Yuna had to pass 3 trials. Many had tried in the past. Most had died. The ones who lived wished they had died. Queen Sira did not want an ordinary mate for her daughter. She wanted the best. And if no one was the best, then no one would have Yuna. "Is there no male brave enough?" the Queen asked. Her voice was mocking now. "Is there no warrior strong enough? Has the Lycan Empire become so weak?" Still, nobody moved. Tejo felt something strange in his chest. It was not fear. It was something else. He looked at the princess standing by the throne. She was staring straight ahead, but he could see something in her eyes. Was it sadness? Was it shame? Her own people were too afraid to even try. He thought about his life. He was 28 years old. He had joined the military because he had nothing else. No family, no home, no future. He had traveled across the stars and seen amazing things, but he had never found a purpose. He was just a soldier, just a number. But standing in that hall, watching the greatest warriors in the galaxy tremble with fear, Tejo felt something change inside him. He thought about what humans were. They were small and weak compared to Lycans. They could not see in the dark. They did not have claws or sharp teeth. In a fair fight, a Lycan would always win. But humans had something else. They had survived ice ages and plagues. They had crossed oceans in wooden boats and reached for the stars with rockets. When everything said they should die, humans kept going. That was their gift. That was their strength. Tejo took a deep breath. Then he started walking. The crowd noticed him immediately. Lycans moved out of his way, their eyes wide with surprise. Whispers spread through the hall like fire. A human? Was a human really stepping forward? Tejo kept walking. His boots made loud sounds on the stone floor. Every step felt like a mile. He could feel hundreds of eyes on him. But he did not stop. When he reached the front of the hall, he stopped and looked up at the throne. Queen Sira stared down at him. Her golden eyes showed no emotion. "What is this?" she asked. "Your Majesty," Tejo said. His voice was steady. "I am Corporal Tejo of Earth's 7th Expeditionary Force. I step forward to answer your challenge." For a moment, there was complete silence. Then, the hall exploded with laughter. Lycan nobles bent over, holding their stomachs. Warriors slapped each other on the back, tears in their eyes. Even some of the guards smiled behind their helmets. A human? A tiny, weak, furless human wanted to claim the princess? Princess Yuna did not laugh. She looked at Tejo with curious eyes. This human did not shake. He did not look away. He stood there like a mountain. While everyone laughed at him, Queen Sira raised her hand, and the hall went quiet again. "You are either very brave or very stupid human," she said. "Maybe both, Your Majesty," Tejo replied. The queen's eyes narrowed. Then, slowly, a small smile appeared on her face. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator who had found something interesting. "You know what happens to those who fail my trials?" she asked. "I do." "You know that no human has ever passed them?" "I do." "And still you step forward?" Tejo nodded. "I do." Queen Sira leaned back on her throne. She looked at her daughter, then back at the human standing alone in front of hundreds of Lycans. "Very well, human," she said. "You will have your chance. Tomorrow, the trials begin. If you survive, you may have my daughter. If you fail..." She let the words hang in the air. "I understand," Tejo said. As guards led him away to prepare for the trials, Tejo felt the eyes of Princess Yuna following him. He did not know what tomorrow would bring. He did not know if he would live or die, but for the first time in his life, he felt like he had a purpose. The Wolf Queen had asked for someone strong. Everyone had expected a Lycan warrior. Instead, they got a human soldier. Tomorrow, they would learn what humans were really made of. The night passed slowly for Tejo. They had given him a small room in the palace, with a hard bed and a single window that looked out at 2 moons in the sky. He did not sleep much. He kept thinking about what he had done. When morning came, guards took him to a large dining hall. The room was full of Lycan nobles eating breakfast. When Tejo walked in, all talking stopped. Every eye turned to look at him. He walked to an empty table and sat down. A servant brought him food, but he was not hungry. He ate anyway. He would need his strength. "So this is the human who thinks he can claim our princess." Tejo looked up. A massive Lycan warrior stood over him. The warrior was at least 7 feet tall, with shoulders as wide as a door. His fur was dark brown, and a long scar ran across his face. He wore the armor of a general. "I am General Wanek," the warrior said. "I have killed more enemies than you have seen in your short life. Human. I have fought in 30 battles and won them all. My bloodline goes back 5,000 years. Tejo kept eating. "Good morning, General." Wanek slammed his fist on the table. The wood cracked under the force. "Do you think this is a joke? Do you think you can just walk into our sacred hall and claim what is ours?" "I answered the Queen's challenge," Tejo said calmly. "The same challenge you were too afraid to answer." The room went completely silent. Wanek's eyes burned with rage. His claws came out, long and sharp and deadly. "You dare speak to me like that?" Wanek growled. "I could tear you apart right now." "Then why didn't you step forward yesterday?" Tejo asked. He looked directly into the general's eyes. "You're big. You're strong. You have a famous bloodline. So why did you stand there like everyone else? Why did you let a tiny, weak human be braver than you?" Wanik grabbed Teho by the collar and lifted him off the ground. Teho hung in the air like a doll, but his face showed no fear. "Humans are prey," Wanik snarled. "You are food. You are nothing." "Then it should be easy for you to beat me in the trials," Teho said. "Why don't you enter? We can compete together. Unless you're still afraid." Wanik threw Teho across the room. The human hit a wall and fell to the floor. Pain shot through his body, but he forced himself to stand up. He wiped blood from his lip and looked at the general. "I'll see you at the trials," Teho said. Then he walked out of the dining hall. Behind him, he could hear the nobles whispering. They were not laughing anymore. The first trial was scheduled for midday. Teho spent the morning in his room, stretching and preparing his body. He knew he could not match a lichen in strength. That was a fact, so he would have to be smarter. When the time came, guards led him to a large arena outside the palace. Thousands of lichens filled the seats, all wanting to see the human fail. Queen Sarah sat on a special platform, with Princess Yuna beside her. Teho walked to the center of the arena. The sand under his feet was dark. He realized it was stained with old blood. Many had died here. "Human," Queen Sarah's voice rang out. "The first trial is combat. You will face 3 lichen warriors. You must defeat all 3 to pass. Do you understand?" Teho nodded. "I understand." 3 warriors entered the arena. They were not as big as General Wanik, but they were still much larger than Teho. They moved like hunters, spreading out to surround him. The crowd cheered. They wanted blood. They wanted to see the human torn apart. The first warrior attacked. He was fast, faster than anything Teho had seen before. Claws reached for Teho's throat. But Teho had trained for years. His body moved before his mind could think. He ducked under the claws and rolled to the side. The warrior's attack hit empty air. Before the lichen could recover, Teho kicked the back of his knee. The warrior stumbled. The second warrior came from behind. Teho heard him coming and spun around. He grabbed the warrior's arm and used his own strength against him. The lichen flew over Teho's shoulder and crashed into his friend. The crowd went quiet. What was happening? The human was not dying. The human was fighting back. The third warrior was more careful. He circled Teho slowly, looking for an opening. Teho watched him with calm eyes. "You move well for a human," the warrior said. "Thank you," Teho replied. The warrior attacked. He was the strongest of the 3, and his blows were like hammers. Teho blocked and dodged, but each hit that landed felt like fire. His arms started to hurt. His legs started to shake, but he did not fall. The other 2 warriors got back up. Now all 3 were attacking at once. Teho was surrounded. Claws came from every direction. Blood appeared on his arms, his chest, his face. The crowd started cheering again. This was it. The human was finished. But Teho had a plan. He let the warriors push him back, 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 until he was against the arena wall. They thought they had trapped him. They were wrong. In the military, Teho had learned to fight in small spaces. When you cannot run, you make the enemy get in each other's way. That is exactly what happened. The 3 warriors attacked together, but the wall was behind Teho. They could not spread out. They started bumping into each other. Their attacks became confused. Teho moved like water. He slipped between them, striking at weak points. The throat, the eyes, the knees. He was not trying to hurt them badly. He was trying to make them fall. One by one, the warriors went down. The first fell when Teho hit his throat and he could not breathe. The second fell when Teho kicked his knee and it bent the wrong way. The third fell when Teho's elbow connected with his temple. Then there was silence. Teho stood alone in the center of the arena. 3 lichen warriors lay on the ground around him. His uniform was torn and bloody. But he was standing. Princess Yuna leaned forward in her seat. Her golden eyes were wide with surprise. This human had done something impossible. He had beaten 3 Lycans with nothing but his hands and his training. Queen Syrah stood up slowly. The crowd held its breath. "The human passes the first trial," the queen announced. Some in the crowd cheered. Others sat in shocked silence. A human had just beaten 3 of their warriors. How was that possible? As Taeho was led out of the arena, he passed by General Wannick. The general was watching him with a strange expression. It was not hate anymore. It was something else. Was it respect? Was it fear? 2 more trials, Wannick said quietly. You will not survive them. Taeho looked at him. We'll see. That night, in his small room, Taeho cleaned his wounds and wrapped them in bandages. His whole body hurt. Tomorrow would be harder. The second trial was endurance, and Lycans were built to survive the cold. But Taeho was human. And humans had been surviving impossible things since the beginning of time. That was what they did. That was all they knew. He lay down on his bed and closed his eyes. Tomorrow was another day. Another chance to prove what humanity was worth. In another part of the palace, Princess Yuna stood at her window, looking at the moons. She could not stop thinking about the human. He was small and weak. He should have died, but there was something in his eyes, something she had never seen in any Lycan warrior. It was not just bravery. It was something more. Something she did not have a name for yet. She would watch the next trial very carefully. The second trial began at dawn. Taeho stood at the base of the Howling Peaks, the tallest mountains on the Lycan homeworld. Snow covered everything as far as the eye could see. The wind was so cold that it felt like knives cutting his skin. Queen Syrah stood with her guards, watching him. Princess Yuna was there too, wrapped in a warm fur coat. The second trial is endurance, the queen said. You must run from here to the top of that peak and back. You have 3 days. If you do not return in 3 days, you fail. If you die, you fail. Taeho looked at the mountain. It was huge, reaching up into the clouds. The path was covered in ice and snow. No human had ever done this before. What do I get? He asked. Supplies? Weapons? The queen smiled. You get nothing. A true warrior needs nothing. Some of the guards laughed. They knew the truth. Lycans had thick fur to keep them warm. Lycans could run for days without rest. A human in this cold, with no supplies, would die before reaching the halfway point. Taeho nodded. Very well. He started running. The first few hours were not too bad. Taeho had trained in cold places before. He knew how to keep his body warm by moving. He knew how to breathe in a way that did not freeze his lungs. He ran at a steady pace, not too fast, not too slow. But as he climbed higher, the cold got worse. His fingers started to go numb. His face felt like it was burning. The wind pushed against him, trying to knock him down. Every step was a fight. Night came, and the temperature dropped even more. Taeho found a small cave and crawled inside. He could not make a fire because he had nothing to burn, so he did exercises all night, moving his arms and legs to keep blood flowing. He did not sleep. When morning came, he started running again. The second day was harder. His body was tired. His muscles ached. The cold had crept into his bones and would not leave. But he kept going. One step at a time. One breath at a time. He thought about why he was doing this. It was not just for the princess. It was not just for himself. It was for something bigger. Every human who had ever been told they were too weak, too small, too fragile. Every human who had been laughed at by stronger species. He was running for all of them. By the end of the second day, he reached the top of the peak. The view was beautiful. He could see the whole world from up here. The cities, the forests, the oceans. For a moment, he forgot about the cold. Then he turned around and started running back down. Going down was faster but more dangerous. The ice was slippery, and one wrong step could send him falling to his death. Taeho moved carefully, using his hands and feet like he was climbing down a ladder. On the third day, something happened. A storm came. The wind became so strong that Taeho could not stand. Snow fell so thick that he could not see his own hands. The temperature dropped so low that his tears froze on his face. He fell. His body hit the ground and slid across the ice. For a moment, he could not move. The cold was everywhere, inside him and outside him. It would be so easy to just close his eyes and sleep forever. But then he thought about the lichens waiting at the bottom of the mountain. They were expecting him to die. They wanted him to die. They wanted to laugh and say that humans were weak, that humans were nothing. No. Tahoe pushed himself up. His arms shook. His legs barely worked. But he stood up. He took a step, then another, then another. He walked through the storm. When he fell, he got back up. When his body said stop, he told it no. He was human. This was what humans did. They did not give up. They never gave up. After what felt like forever, the storm started to fade. Tahoe could see the bottom of the mountain. He could see the queen and her guards waiting. They looked like tiny dots from this far away. He started running. His legs moved automatically now. He could not feel them anymore. He could not feel anything. He was just a machine, pushing forward, refusing to stop. When he crossed the finish line, he collapsed. His body hit the ground, and he could not get up. Guards ran toward him, not knowing what to do. No one had expected him to actually make it. Queen Sira walked over and looked down at him. For a long moment, she said nothing. "The human passes the second trial," she said finally. Her voice was quiet, almost surprised. They carried Tahoe back to the palace. Doctors worked on him for hours. He had frostbite on his fingers and toes. His body temperature was dangerously low. But he was alive. Princess Yuna came to see him while he was recovering. She stood by his bed and watched him sleep. This human had done something that even lichen warriors found difficult, and he had done it with nothing but his will. When Tahoe woke up, she was still there. "Why?" she asked. It was the first word she had ever spoken to him. Tahoe looked at her. His voice was weak and rough. "Why what? Why are you doing this? You could have died on that mountain. You almost did. No one would blame you for giving up. So why?" Tahoe thought about the question. It was a good question. He could have stayed safe on his ship. He could have lived a normal, boring life. Instead, he was here, frozen and broken, trying to win a princess from a species that thought humans were insects. "Because someone had to," he said finally. "Your mother asked for someone strong. Everyone in that hall was stronger than me. But strength is not just about muscles. It is about will. It is about refusing to give up when everything says you should." Yuna sat down on a chair next to his bed. "Humans are strange." "Yes," Tahoe agreed. "We are. There is one more trial," she said. "The trial of will. My mother will try to break your mind. She will use her power to make you submit. Every lichen has a place in their mind where they bow to a stronger leader. It is instinct. It is how our society works. And if I don't bow, then you pass." Yuna paused. "But no one has ever resisted my mother. Not even the strongest warriors. When she pushes, everyone breaks." Tahoe smiled weakly. "Then I will be the first." Yuna looked at him for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled back. "Rest now," she said. "The third trial is tomorrow. You will need all your strength." She left the room, and Tahoe closed his eyes. The third trial would be the hardest. He had beaten lichens with his body. He had survived the cold with his endurance. Now, he would have to fight with his mind. But humans had strong minds. They had to. When you are small and weak in a universe full of big and strong things, your mind is all you have. Humans had used their minds to build cities, to create technology, to reach the stars. Tomorrow, Tahoe would show the Wolf Queen what a human mind was really worth. He slept, and in his dreams, he was not afraid. The third trial took place in the throne room. It was just Tahoe, Queen Sira, and Princess Yuna. No guards. No crowds. This trial was not about entertainment. It was about power. Tejo stood in the center of the room. His body was still recovering from the mountain. Bandages covered his frostbitten fingers. His muscles ached with every movement, but he stood straight and looked the queen in the eye. Queen Sarah walked down from her throne. She moved slowly, like a predator circling its prey. Her golden eyes never left Tejo's face. "Do you know what I am going to do?" she asked. "Yes," Tejo said. "You are going to try to break my will. Try?" The queen laughed. It was not a friendly sound. "I do not try, human. I do. Every lichen bows to me. Every warrior. Every general. Every lord. When I push, they fall. It is not a choice. It is nature. I am not a lichen. No, you are not." The queen stopped in front of him. She was taller than him. And when she looked down, her eyes seemed to glow brighter. "But minds are minds. Power is power. You will bow like everyone else." Tejo said nothing. He just waited. The queen closed her eyes. When she opened them again, something had changed. Her eyes were burning now. So bright that Tejo had to fight not to look away. He felt pressure building in his head, like someone was pushing on his brain with giant hands. "Bow," the queen said. Her voice was not loud, but it seemed to fill the entire room. It came from everywhere at once. It came from inside his own head. Tejo felt his knees start to bend. Every part of his body wanted to fall down. The pressure was incredible. It was like the whole world was pushing down on him, trying to force him to the floor, but he did not fall. In his mind, he built a wall. It was made of memories. Every time someone had told him he was too weak. Every time someone had said humans were nothing. Every time he had been pushed down and gotten back up, he put all of these memories together and made them into something solid. The queen pushed harder. Sweat appeared on Tejo's face. Blood started dripping from his nose. His legs shook so badly that he thought they might break. But the wall held. "How?" the queen whispered. She was surprised. In all her years, no one had resisted this long. Tejo spoke through clenched teeth. "Humans do not bow so easily." The queen pushed even harder. Tejo screamed. The pain was everywhere. It felt like his brain was on fire. He could see nothing, hear nothing, feel nothing, except the pressure trying to crush his will. But he thought about Earth. He thought about his ancestors who had survived ice ages when they should have frozen. He thought about sailors who had crossed oceans in tiny boats when they should have drowned. He thought about astronauts who had traveled to the stars when they should have died in the cold vacuum of space. Humans had faced impossible things since the beginning of time. And they had never given up. Not once. Not ever. He was not just Tejo. He was human. And humans did not bow. The pressure stopped. Tejo fell to his knees, but not because he was bowing. His body simply gave out from the effort. He knelt on the floor, breathing hard, blood dripping from his nose and ears. Queen Sarah stepped back. Her face showed something Tejo had never seen before. It was shock. It was respect. It was maybe even a little fear. "You passed," she said quietly. "You actually passed." Tejo wiped the blood from his face and slowly stood up. His legs were shaking, but he made himself stand straight. "The trials are complete," the queen said. She looked at her daughter. "He is yours, if you want him." Princess Yuna stepped forward. She looked at Tejo with new eyes. This human had done the impossible 3 times. He had beaten warriors, survived mountains, and resisted her mother's power. "How? Why?" "I need to speak with him alone," she said. The queen nodded and left the room. For a moment, there was silence. Then Yuna walked closer to Tejo. "You are different," she said. "Different from any human I have met. Different from any lichen I have known. Tell me the truth. Why are you really here?" Tejo looked at her. His body was broken, but his mind was clear. He had kept a secret since he arrived. Now it was time to tell it. "I came because your people are dying," he said. Yuna's eyes widened. "What do you mean? The Lycan Empire has been closed for thousands of years. You only marry within your own species, within your own bloodlines. Do you know what that does to a population?" Yuna was quiet. She knew. Every Lycan noble knew. They just did not talk about it. "Your children are getting weaker," Tejo continued. "Each generation has more sickness, more problems. Your birth rates are falling. Your lifespans are getting shorter. In 3 generations, maybe 4, the Lycan Empire will collapse. Not from war, not from invasion, from biology." "How do you know this?" Yuna demanded. "Because Earth has studied your species for a long time. We have scientists who look at genetic patterns. They saw what was happening to your people years ago. They predicted exactly what would happen." Yuna's hands clenched into fists. "Why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened? Your people think humans are weak and stupid. If we had come to you with warnings, you would have laughed at us. You would have ignored everything we said." She opened her mouth to argue, but she knew he was right. The Lycan pride would never accept help from humans, not unless something changed. "So you came here to, what? Save us?" "I came here to show you that humans are worth listening to," Tejo said. "I came here to prove that we are not weak. We are different. And that difference is exactly what your people need." He stepped closer to her. "Human genetics are diverse. Our DNA changes and adapts with every generation. If Lycans and humans have children together, those children will be strong, stronger than pure Lycans, stronger than pure humans. They will have the best of both species. You want to mix our blood with human blood?" Yuna's voice was hard to read. Was she angry? Disgusted? Interested? "I want to save your people," Tejo said. "And I want to prove that humans belong in this galaxy. Not as prey. Not as nothing. As equals." Yuna was quiet for a long time. She walked to the window and looked out at the city below. Millions of Lycans lived there. Her people. Her responsibility. "My mother," she said slowly. "Does she know about this?" Tejo nodded. "I think she does. Why else would she make such a big event out of choosing your mate? Why else would she challenge everyone in that hall? She wanted someone different to step forward, someone new, someone who could bring new blood to your empire." Yuna turned back to look at him. "You think she planned this?" "I think she hoped for it. I do not think she planned for a human specifically, but when I stepped forward, she did not send me away. She gave me a chance. That tells me she was looking for something outside the normal Lycan bloodlines." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Yuna did something unexpected. She laughed. "All this time, I thought I was just a prize to be won," she said. "I did not know I was part of a plan to save my entire species." "You are not a prize," Tejo said. "You are a princess. A leader. If you do not want this, say so. I will not force anything on you. But if you are willing to try something new, something different, then maybe we can change the future together." Yuna looked at him for a long moment. This small, weak, stubborn human. He had suffered so much pain just to stand here, just to have this conversation, just to offer her people a chance at survival. "I need to think," she said. "This is not a small thing you are asking." "I know," Tejo said. "Take all the time you need." He bowed slightly and walked toward the door. Before he left, Yuna called out, "Tejo." He turned. "Thank you," she said, "for telling me the truth." He nodded and walked out. Behind him, Yuna stood alone in the throne room, thinking about the future. A future that might include humans after all. 3 days passed after the 3rd trial. Tejo stayed in his room, recovering from his wounds. No one came to tell him what was happening. No one told him what the princess had decided. He could only wait. On the 4th day, guards came to his door. "The queen wants to see you," they said. "In the great hall. Now." Taeho put on his cleanest uniform and followed them. His hands were still bandaged, and his body still ached, but he walked with his head high. The great hall was full again. Just like the first day, hundreds of Lycans stood watching. Nobles in their fine clothes, warriors in their armor. Everyone who mattered in the empire was there. But this time, the feeling was different. There was no laughter, no mockery. Instead, there was something that felt almost like respect. Taeho walked to the center of the hall and stood before the throne. Queen Sarah sat there, looking down at him with her golden eyes. Princess Yuna stood beside her, her face showing no emotion. "Human," the queen said. Her voice filled the hall. "You came to my palace as a stranger. You were small. You were weak. Everyone laughed at you." Taeho said nothing. He just listened. "But you passed my trials. You defeated my warriors. You survived my mountains. You resisted my power." The queen paused. "No one has ever done all three, not even the greatest Lycan heroes." Whispers spread through the crowd. They had all heard what happened, but hearing the queen say it made it real. "My daughter has told me what you said to her," the queen continued. "About our blood, about our future, about what will happen to our empire if nothing changes." Taeho felt his heart beat faster. This was the moment. Everything he had done came down to this. Queen Sarah stood up from her throne. She walked down the steps until she was standing right in front of Taeho. For the first time, she did not look at him like he was prey. She looked at him like an equal. "You think I did not know?" she asked quietly, so only he could hear. "I have known for years that our people are dying. I have read the reports. I have seen the numbers. But what could I do? My people are proud. They would never accept help from outsiders." "So you made the challenge," Taeho said. "You hoped someone different would answer." The queen nodded slowly. "I hoped. I did not know if anyone would be brave enough. When you stepped forward, I thought you were a fool. I thought you would die in the first trial, but you surprised me, human. You surprised everyone." She turned and walked back to her throne. When she sat down, her voice became loud again, filling the entire hall. "I have made a decision," she announced. "The human Taeho has proven himself worthy. He has shown strength not of body, but of will. He has shown endurance not of flesh, but of spirit. He has shown courage that puts our greatest warriors to shame." The crowd was completely silent. No one dared to breathe. "But more than that," the queen continued, "he has shown us truth. A truth we have been afraid to face. Our empire is old. Our bloodlines are tired. If we do not change, we will fade away like stars dying in the night sky." She looked at Princess Yuna. "My daughter has chosen to accept this human. Not because she has to. Not because I command her. But because she believes in what he represents. A new future. A new hope." Princess Yuna stepped forward. She walked down from the throne platform and stood next to Taeho. For the first time, she took his hand in hers. "I choose him," she said. Her voice was clear and strong. "Not as a prize I was given, but as a partner I want. He is not the strongest or the fastest. He is not the tallest or the most beautiful, but he is the bravest. And that is worth more than all the strength in the universe." The crowd exploded with noise. Some were cheering, some were shouting in anger, some were just talking in shocked voices. This was something that had never happened before. A human and a Lycan princess. It was unthinkable. General Wanik pushed through the crowd. His face was red with rage. "This is madness," he shouted. "You would let this animal touch our royal bloodline? You would mix our sacred blood with human filth?" Queen Sarah's eyes flashed. "Watch your words, General." "No." Wanik drew his sword. "I have served this empire for 50 years. I have bled for it. I have killed for it. I will not watch it be destroyed by weakness and stupidity." He pointed his sword at Taeho. "I challenge you, human. Right here. Right now. A fight to the death. If you are truly worthy of our princess, prove it. The crowd went silent again. Everyone looked at Taeho. Taeho looked at the general. The sword was long and sharp. Wanik was huge and experienced. In a real fight, Taeho would probably die. His body was still broken from the trials. He had no weapon, but he had never backed down before. He was not going to start now. I accept, he said. No, Princess Yuna stepped in front of him. I will not allow this. Yuna, Taeho said gently. I have to. You will die, maybe. He smiled at her. But I did not come all this way to hide behind you. If I am going to be your partner, I have to earn the respect of your people. Not just the queen, everyone. Yuna looked into his eyes. She saw the determination there. The same determination that had carried him through the trials. She knew she could not stop him. Slowly, she stepped aside. Wanik smiled. It was an ugly smile. Finally, the prey shows its true nature. Guards brought Taeho a sword. It was smaller than Wanik's, but it was good enough. Taeho tested the weight in his hand. He had trained with swords before, but not like Lycans used them. This would be difficult. The two fighters stood facing each other. The crowd formed a circle around them. This was it. One would live. One would die. Wanik attacked first. His sword moved faster than seemed possible. Taeho barely blocked it. The force of the blow sent pain through his arms. Again and again, Wanik attacked. He was stronger, faster, more skilled. Taeho was pushed back, barely surviving each strike. Blood appeared on his arms, his chest, his face, but Taeho watched. He learned. He saw how Wanik moved. He saw the patterns. After the same attack, Wanik always stepped left. After a high strike, he always left his right side open for a moment. Taeho waited for his chance. It came. Wanik made his high strike, and for 1 second, his right side was unprotected. Taeho moved. His sword slid past Wanik's guard and cut deep into the general's arm. Wanik roared in pain and surprise. He stumbled back, blood flowing from the wound. How? He gasped. I watched, Taeho said. I learned. That is what humans do. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. But we learn. We adapt. And we never give up. He raised his sword. Do you yield? Wanik looked at his bleeding arm. He looked at the human standing in front of him. For the first time, he understood. This was not a weak creature. This was something new. Something dangerous. Slowly, the general lowered his sword. I yield, he said. The crowd erupted. Cheers filled the hall. Lycans who had doubted were now believers. The human had done it again. He had proven himself once more. Queen Sira stood up and raised her hand for silence. Let this be a lesson to all, she said. Strength is not just about muscles. It is about will. It is about heart. This human has more of both than any Lycan I have known. She looked at Taeho and Yuna standing together. From this day forward, humans and Lycans will work together. We will share our knowledge, our blood, our future. This is not weakness. This is survival. This is evolution. This is how empires last forever. Taeho looked at Yuna. She was smiling at him. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. We did it, she said. No, he replied, taking her hand. We are just beginning. As they stood together before the cheering crowd, Taeho thought about all the humans who had come before him. All the ancestors who had survived impossible things. They had given him their strength, their courage, their will to survive. And now, their legacy would continue. Not just on Earth, but among the stars. With a new family, a new future, humanity had proven once again that they were never prey. They were survivors. They were adapters. They were, in their own way, the strongest species in the universe. And this was only the beginning.